Welcome back to another episode of Toon Talk TV, the top animated podcast on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, be sure and like, follow, and subscribe. Hit up our Patreon, patreon.com/wearethetelevision. We have a nice little show for you today. We are joined by a fantastic 2D animator, a writer. You may know him as the creator of Bloke of The Apocalypse. We have the one, the only, Bob, can I get a little drum roll, please? Charlie Faulks. Yay! Charlie.
Hey, guys.
Charlie.
Yeah, awesome.
It's good to have you.
Yeah.
The drum roll was great. Loved it.
Thank you.
Charlie, we always like to start off by asking our guests some of the hardest fucking questions that we could ever think of. So I'm going to start by saying, after this little mix-up for us trying to figure out this interview and learning that you're living in the future,
yes,
what's the temperature of Americans? Did we just prove how dumb we are? Like, what do you guys think of us over there?
Well, you're very enthusiastic. Like, anytime I'm on a meeting with someone from America and they hear my accent, it's instantly they want to come to New Zealand, and we seem very mystical to you guys, which is great. We appreciate it. We're just kind of, I feel like we're more tepid people as compared to your guys' very exuberant sort of personalities in general.
Interesting. He said we're loud and annoying. That's what he just said.
No. Sometimes it's refreshing. Yeah, it's great.
That's good. Well, yeah, man. I mean, let's just dive into the big things. We noticed on your LinkedIn page that you had some news about Bloke of the Apocalypse getting shortlisted. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, tell us about that. What's that mean? What's the experience like?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how far I can talk to it, but yeah, we got shortlisted by New Zealand On Air, which is kind of the biggest company, with TV and film here.
Cool.
And so we just kind of I've got some awesome people on board, and I found out that being a 19-year-old, it's hard to ask for big sums of money from corporations. They don't really trust 19-year-olds for some reason. So I've attached
Why not?
some.
That's crazy.
Exactly. I was like, just so naive. Yeah, I was like, I'll get this. Yeah. And so yeah, I've got some super experienced people attached now, which is just so helpful. And we're furiously putting together a big sort of pitch thing, and I think the timeline there's quite a while to see for people to make those bigger decisions. Mm-hmm. It's annoying when you kind of send something off and then it's out of your hands and you're just kind of anxiously waiting. So it's just keeping our fingers crossed, and hopefully this thing gets picked up, because that'd be awesome.
We think so too. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah, we loved all the first 3 episodes. They were all amazing.
Thank you. We listened to your to the episode about Bloke, and me and my mate Jack Marlin, who voices Bloke. And we were just it was amazing to listen to. It was great. Thank you for that.
Of course. So, I mean, it seems like you didn't have, from your credits, I only saw 4 people involved in all of those episodes. Were there more people that you just didn't include in the credits, or are you mainly usually working with a small crew on these?
So yeah, it's very smart. It started just with myself, and then a couple of my flatmates who lent their beautiful voices to the thing. So it's a very, very compact team. And then I get help with the voices, and then I kind of go off and do all the animation and figure out the writing. And so now at this point, we've got producers and stuff who aren't my age, which is great. And they're really helping to elevate and kind of flesh out the bridge that gap between me and the industry. So yeah, it started off it was a very sweet thing because it was a very organic thing. It was just me and my flatmates making this thing while we're also doing uni. So it was a very natural process.
What is uni?
University, dude.
College.
Oh,
Yeah.
college.
Dummies. We're dummies
You dumb
again. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
University.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the first 3 episodes seemed like that you spent so much time making them, and there was a lot of love put into the project. The writing seemed very planned. It's very funny. So now that you pitched it, how much of the next episodes do you have planned out? And do these producers have a lot of hands now in the project in creating the arc of this story, or is it all on you?
Yeah, well, we had I had a rough plan for the first 3 seasons, and then it started getting noticed, and then it was picked up by things, and so we've had to rejig the structure of it, and which meant the storylines are cut and edited, and so I've been having sessions with one of the producers, and we've just been fleshing out the story and kind of having another go at it. So at this point, we've got the first full season fleshed out, and that's what we'll be able to make with the funding. But yeah, unfortunately, I have a very sort of creative control complex.
We all do, man. We all do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's helpful sometimes, but it's very, when things change, I kind of get pretty antsy. But as long as that I'm happy with it, and everyone's kind of having fun, it's great.
Well, tell us
Yeah.
more about that, because I feel like that is always the struggle between, art and money, basically. Because as soon as you get that funding for a show, sometimes you have to answer to somebody, and in that back and forth, I feel like you might have a little more leverage in this situation because you've made so much of these first 3 episodes by yourself. The writing, the animating, it's
Character
mostly
design.
all on you. Character design. So I'm interested in, would you be okay with it going a different direction than what you had planned? Or is that something that you might find yourself getting very angry at?
I'm not going to be a dictator about anything, because that's just that's getting into territory that I'm not comfortable with. I'm just not I'm not a dick. I'm gonna admit it. I'm not a dickhead.
You could be a dick if you want to. That's okay.
Yeah. Okay. From now on. But so it's a very it's weirdly a very personal story. Like, you see photos of my dad and my brother, and they're splitting images of the characters, and it was based on them, but it was
That's
also just kind of this unconscious thing, just because I'm so familiar with their faces and their personalities, and they're just kind of culminated in what you see on screen. So there is a high level of sort of a protection, because this is heavily rooted in my family and my environment growing up, so it would feel strange for that to be whisked away from me, just the control of the story. And everyone that I'm working with is very good at sort of it's a very collaborative environment, just in general. So I'm not just, okay, we're doing this and that's it. I'm still letting people in, and as I was saying before, we've had sessions where we're completely editing the storyline, and people are having their say, and that just makes for a better product, because it's different creative minds when you're looking at something solo, you kind of get lost in it. And it's nice having, you know, different perspectives, as you guys know.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it.
Let's take a step back real quick and talk about those first 3 episodes that you put out. We've also made cartoons, and we know how daunting that process can be. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like making those first 3? Were you just grinding away sun up to sundown while also attending school? Like, what was that process like making the first 3?
Yeah, it kind of just came from a huge jolt of inspiration. And then it was kind of just straight to work. And you never really know how, especially when it's a personal project, you never really know how encompassing it's going to be until you're in the thick of it. And then you kind of turn around and you're like, oh, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let it out.
Dude.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of it. Yeah, I really lent into it. And so it really became a huge project. And because I was making those 3 episodes almost consecutively, I was working on this thing for about, I don't know, 6 or 7 months. And it wasn't as melodramatic as I was like, I'd wake up in the morning and then get to work and then be working all day and then, you know, go to bed depressed. It was, you know, I have balance, and, you know, that's all important. As you guys know, like, you just got to have that balance, and you got to, you know, spend time at the thing and then also away from it, and recharge. But yeah, it became a bigger thing than I expected, for sure.
Were there ever times where you were just like, fuck this, like, this is not worth it, I'm not going to do this anymore? Did you ever have moments like that where you were just like, you know what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Yeah, no, of course. And have you guys had those moments as well?
Every day.
But I'm surprised you're having those moments. You're too young for those moments, man. You can't have them.
Yeah. No, I did, you know, it's, and, you know, my life's super comfortable, so I'm not going to complain about everything. But there were moments where I'm like, shit, this isn't, I swore again. This isn't working. Like, I'll be editing it together. I'm like, oh, you know, I need to redo this bit, or why is this not going together? It really takes it out of you when you've got a clear idea in your head, and then you are trying so hard to bring it to reality, and it's just, for some reason, it's falling short. So I mean, they were few and far between, and it was just a lot of being burnt out, and, you know, because I'm doing this, but I'm also doing freelance stuff just incessantly, and also exactly, college as well, and just life as well.
Well, speaking of your work ethic, then I saw, like, this past month you posted a character design every single day on Instagram. What's your secret? Like, that's got to be hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is hard. It's also just, I get this weird discomfort if I haven't done anything creative or any work, or, you know, anything that creatively inclined all day, which is good, because that's really
Fred, dude. That's Fred.
I feel you.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. But do you like it? Because it pushes you.
I feel like it's in me, no matter what. Like, I'm going to do it no matter what. But I do. It's because I love it so much, you know. Like, I wouldn't be doing anything else. So. Yeah,
exactly. Because when you take a holiday, let's say, do you kind of get antsy about getting back to it?
Oh, 100%. I'm not. I feel like I'm never on a holiday.
Right.
Even on holidays, I'm like, all right, well, what is going to be my next thing? I better start planning it in my head. Yeah.
Right.
I feel it.
Yeah, because you're losing daylight. I mean, it's this very toxic thing that hopefully will, I don't know, maybe subside in time. But it's I forgot the question.
No, that's great. So you're 19. I feel like that's very early to be as far as you are in the animation industry. Um, Tell us about some of your first gigs in animation, some of your first times, maybe taking on a freelance project. I'd love to hear how you got that start and maybe like what brought you to it.
It was during, it would have been during lockdown, and it was 2020. How old would I have been? I can't do simple arithmetic. And I started through Fiverr.
Okay.
Are you guys aware of?
Yeah.
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 We've done Upwork and Freelancer and yeah, but Fiverr, that's another one we've seen.
Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wasn't old enough for those other two, but I could do Fiverr.
Wow.
So I started doing small things. I can't really remember what some of the first ones, but there was huge excitement about it because, you know, I was getting people contacting me wanting stuff. And now it's just kind of evolved, and now it's just a normal part of life, and I've kind of severed myself from Fiverr, and I'm just doing it by myself because I've got an audience, and people are actually getting their eyes on my stuff, and they're reaching out to me independently. So it's it was a very slow build, though. It was very spotty at first, and then it just started ramping up, and even still it's incredibly temperamental. Like, I'll have weeks where I'm just flat out doing a ton of stuff, and then some days I've only got, you know, one or two things to finish off, and it takes 10 seconds. So it's it's nice. I'm just looking forward to that moment where I can fully break free of that, and, as I was talking about before, just have creative control and make my own things and kind of be granted that opportunity.
So I saw on your website you have there's a ton more ideas outside of Bloke of the Apocalypse, and it looks like you ventured into a lot of different stories and new characters. Have you ever pitched a show before?
There's been sort of soft pitches through Zooms and stuff, which is the worst way to pitch things. And it is tough being in New Zealand because I can't physically get in those rooms where everything's happening. But yeah, there's been, I've been super lucky to be able to pitch some of my ideas, and nothing's really happened yet, but it's just, I'm just kind of cutting my teeth on it and learning the process, and meeting people as well, which is super important, having those connections.
Your stuff on with Dear Craig was the stuff that I liked.
Right.
On
Yes.
your website. I thought that was pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm working on that with Roy Hampton, who's this guy in Aussie, and it's an idea we've kind of had for a while, and that's actually, I forgot about that. It's been on the back burner for ages. So yeah, hopefully it'll be, I don't know, somewhere important soon, maybe.
So I saw your the character design for Succession on your website. I will
Yes.
say that the intro theme music to Bloke sounds, it gives me the feeling
Vibes,
of Succession.
vibes.
It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very Succession theme vibes, and that's a compliment. I think that's fantastic. What was Mike Tilbrook,
Yes.
who made the music for this one? Was some of that inspired by Succession or maybe something else?
Yeah, no, Mike's amazing. He can for that, I just gave him a list, and it probably wasn't the best sort of reference material because I gave him just this blurb of all these theme songs that I liked, and they were all so different. I look back on it now, I'm like, holy, what a chore I gave him. It's just like, yeah, Succession and The White Lotus, and also like kind of Sopranos maybe, and kind of The Walking Dead as well. So it's like he did a great job kind of transferring all of that into something that sounds awesome and fits the show well. I didn't even notice the Succession similarities until now. Yeah, you're right.
So you brought up a lot of, a lot of those are comedies too, but a lot of those are dramas. Are you inspired by dramas or comedy more? Because I think Bloke is kind of a little bit of both.
Yeah, for sure drama. I just think it can really just and also comedy and dramas. The marriage of those two genres is so much more interesting than a plain comedy and a plain, or plain comedy or a plain drama. And shows that, like Barry. Have you guys seen Barry and White
Yes.
Lotus and all that? HBO.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that are able to kind of have moments that are super funny, and then other moments that are shocking and kind of. It's just moment to moment. You don't know what you're going to get, and it's an exciting thing as a viewer. So it was hugely inspired by all those HBO shows, more so than probably even animation itself. And I took a lot of visual inspiration from Barry as well, and especially in the later seasons where it's the camera's quite static and it's just kind of really observing things, and everything's very flat, like the violence especially. And there's this one, I'm sorry to nerd out, there's this one scene, you guys know, on the highway when Barry's driving on his motorbike, and it's that magnificent scene where the camera, it's just this weird sort of surreal feeling that it gives. And I was really inspired by that visually, and just having the camera sort of in interesting places.
Well, speaking of in Bloke, I feel like there's a lot of off-model camera positions where you wouldn't find yourself. That would be difficult for an animator. I feel like you've in animation, there's these like flat, like, all right, you got this profile view, you got the front up view, but in Bloke there was a lot of like extended just weird angles where like maybe you see a big portion of his body but then his head is back or something weird like that, which is that kind of on the same page of like getting inspiration from these like weird shots and like dramatic films, or was that just something else?
Yeah, well, I wanted to really, because the style can sort of be tacked back to stuff like those Fox shows, Family Guy, American Dad,
Mhm.
and I wanted to really break expectations with that, where every single shot the character's drawn differently and it's very off model.
It's cool.
And yeah, it's fun, especially I do like the down low, and it's kind of seeing Bloke, and his legs are like he's like a tree trunk or something.
Yeah.
His legs are really thick.
Yeah.
And then it goes into his head where it's a little it's so funny to me. It's a little mouse movement. But it's just visually interesting. I mean, I have the capacity to play around with it, so I may as well, and it makes it interesting and more engaging. And it's just I really meld the expression in the face around where the camera is, and things are inconsistent, and shot to shot they look very different, but I think that's just it also helps with an organic look as well, which is what I wanted to go for.
So you mentioned a bunch of like HBO-esque shows that you kind of draw inspiration.
Yeah.
When you look at we love cartoons, and we talk about cartoons a lot, it being a cartoon show. But like what tunes inspire you whenever you're like kind of making even just your Instagram sketches or anything like that? And not necessarily Bloke or anything, but what kind of cartoons do you draw inspiration from?
It really changes and evolves. When I was young, it was Scooby-Doo and Looney Tunes, and then as I got older, I really liked the Adult Swim sort of styles. I don't know, just a whole spectrum of things. Like I like the weird sort of jittery lines of something like Rick and Morty, but I also really like the crisp, thick lines of something like Dexter's Lab. And then also something like Primal, where it's more realistic and there's more detail. So it's just kind of mapping the style to the story, and having those two go hand in hand, and having the style itself lend itself to the subject matter. But yeah, I mean, with the Succession art I did, I was like, okay, I want this to kind of be in a clean, crisp sort of American animated series sort of. So
Yeah.
it was, very aligned, and everything was in a big, everything was very strung together and worked well. So it kind of, I kind of turn to a style when it suits a project, because I'm really interested in having that encapsulate the story, hopefully.
Nice, man. Nice.
So I'd love to hear more about. You brought it up earlier, but I'd love to hear more about your hometown. This is it's Gisborne. Am I saying that correctly?
Gisborne, yes. Yeah,
Gisborne. Okay.
Gisborne.
Gisborne. I guess it's got an R in there, so it's Gisborne.
Gisborne.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
You basically said that this is where Bloke is also from.
Yes. Well. I think story-wise it was, because it's in the North Island. We've got North and South, but then story-wise, I think we moved it to the South Island, and I don't know, something happened with wasn't working out. But yeah, it's a very small rural town, and I'm in Wellington at the moment because I'm at college. So I go back there, and it's just so nice to be, in a small community, and we're on this little farm. But yeah, it's huge because it's such a unique spot. It's great. It's really fertile ground for inspiration, and it's just it's the show encapsulated.
I will say it just like I'm going to be honest, I never even heard of it before, but when looking it up online, it says it's known for its beer and wine, and its surf beaches, and its amazing food. That sounds like right up our alley. I would fucking love that. It sounds like
you
heaven.
guys come
So,
to Gisborne. I mean, it's great. You'll be the first Americans ever there, maybe. Not many people know about it. I mean, even talking to people in New Zealand about it, and they're like, "Oh, where's that?" So yeah, no, we're very famous for our little beaches, and yeah, it's because it's got rural areas, and then it's got little town, and then yeah, it's coastal as well. So it's got a mix of a lot of great things.
That's a perfect segue into our next question.
Yes,
You mentioned skitties on the toilet, which is by far one of the funniest things that we've heard. Are there any American phrases that we say where it makes you laugh the same way, that just something stupid, or is there anything that we say that comes to mind?
Well,
College?
yeah, college. Frat. As in, we've got flat
like
here. We've got a flatmate, and you've got a frat.
Oh,
bro.
yeah. Well, that.
So
I wouldn't
everyone
call
in
my
college
roommate
isn't in a frat.
A frat, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, so like if you're in a fraternity, which I mean, I bet Mick was in a fraternity. Me and Fred were not, but Mick, were you?
I was not.
Oh,
if you count,
you're a frat, bro. You're a frat.
I was not.
A frat
I was not,
is just a bunch of dudes living in a house at the same time together. But there's like rules, like you have roommates, which you can have an apartment with and just live with. But a fraternity, you have to.
It's very weird us explaining this now.
Yeah,
how
sounds
dumb
kinda
it sounds.
Thinking about
Sounds
it
really dumb.
Thinking
actually.
about it sounds retarded. But it's essentially you got to. It's almost like a job interview to have friends.
Right, so
That's
it's
what
like
it
an
is.
initiation process and everything.
It's an initiation
yeah.
process.
Yeah.
You get picked, selected,
Right.
kicked out, and then basically you just get all the chicks you want. You get to drink for free.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Did this did you guys have a thing called a red card? Where
No.
I
Tell
really
us
wasn't. I
what
wasn't
that
in a
is.
fraternity, but no, yeah. Tell us what that is.
Oh, well, a red card is kind of everyone in the flat kind of has a proposition for it. It's a crazy thing. Like you have to sit in the garage and drink a whole box of beers before you can leave, or it's this huge sort of drinking.
okay.
Oh, maybe a
thing.
flat mate is the same thing as a frat mate.
Yeah,
Like,
because
no.
that sounds just like initiation. You know what I
It
mean?
does-
Like yeah.
Right. And
Okay.
so it's kind of a thing you make up at the start of the year, and you can kind of pull yours whenever, and then you all have to do it no matter what. You just drop what you're doing, and then you have to do it.
Fred and Bob. That's that. Now, what you explaining that, I know exactly what you're talking about, and
Right.
that's not what that means. That's kind of just more like if me, Fred, and Bob lived in a house together. Prior to moving in, we're like, okay, anytime that I pull my card, we got to play Edward 40 Hands. Like, it's just the thing.
Oh,
that we got
I was
to.
thinking of
Yeah.
that frat game where everyone jizzes on like a piece of toast or something, and then the
like
loser
a
has
cracker
to.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fred dedefinitely played that.
Yeah,
no,
I didn't play
no,
that.
no,
you
no,
played
no,
that.
no.
No, I didn't play that. Yeah.
I just leave the chat. I'm just gone. But because what were you guys in as opposed to a frat?
Just
We
college.
just went to college.
We just had
yeah.
roommates. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, so it's sort. Oh, okay. I think I've got my head around it now. Awesome. Good to know.
Yeah. But now explaining it. Wow, that's
Yeah,
It does
it
sound
does
weird.
feel
It does
weird.
sound
it's
kind
so
of lame
weird
explaining that.
saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably have it here. It's just like less structured.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
our most of our viewer base is American style. Throw out some more funny sayings that you guys use. Skitties, we're trying to adapt that into our everyday life right now.
I mean, I don't know. Are you self-aware of like of the like? Did you know
The
that we
lingo.
don't say skitties? Yeah.
Lingo, yeah.
I thought that specifically was kind of an international thing, but apparently not. There's a little bit of self-awareness. I mean, when I made this thing, I thought, should I put captions on this? I was worried that people overseas weren't going to understand what these characters were saying. But there's a few things. I mean, like bloody hell is a classic one. And what else is there? There's getting behind, where it's my dad says it a lot to the dogs when he's shifting the sheep or whatever, and the dog's not listening to what he's saying, and so it means to like getting behind, which is a very rural thing. What else?
I like at the beginning of this interview he goes, "Americans mystify us," and we're doing exactly that.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Let's
sorry about that.
Let's do it.
fine.
Let's do it this way, Charlie. If we give you a scenario,
Yeah.
you tell us the phrase that you guys would use in that situation.
All right.
So let's say that you got a friend who's like acting too drunk. Like what would you say to them? Like stop what?
You're like, you're legless. You're smashed. I
Okay,
guess.
we'll
I mean,
do
that's
that.
not
Legless.
Loaded.
That's good.
Yeah.
legless.
That's
Is
good.
that not? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
How
See,
about-
I'm
how
not
about-
aware of what it
Yeah.
translates or not.
How about when you just see you have a close friend, but you haven't seen them in a while, and you see them immediately? What do you say?
Mate, I haven't seen you in ages. Something.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
exaggerating my
Okay.
accent, but yeah, you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bob, you got one?
What is a classic pickup of a significant other at a bar? If you see someone attractive, what's a classic line?
Something that maybe you won't even use, but you
something
know that
you
it's,
personally
that it's
might
there.
not use, but just something that people try out.
Well, Sheila is, like, oh, look at that Sheila over there. Oh, yeah.
Sheila.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah,
that is at all.
a pretty,
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
girl.
Okay.
Sheila, is that just someone's name, or like what?
No. So it's like a Sheila, as in that woman over there.
Oh,
Interesting.
nice.
I've
Nice.
never heard that in my life.
I'm gonna try and get that trigger.
Dude, you're educating us right now, dude. It's good.
This is great. The education podcast now.
Fred, Bob, what you guys got any other hard hitting questions left?
No, that was fantastic.
No, yeah, I want to congratulate you on the success of the 3 episodes of Bloke and this getting shortlisted. I can't wait to see how it moves forward. And thank you for coming on and talking with us. It's been a
No,
blast.
thank you for having me. And I wanted to say, like, the format you guys have is so interesting. I mean, you don't really see animated podcasts. It was great to see that the creativity come through in a format that's kind of starting to get stale. Thank you so much for having me. That was great.
So, Charlie, we like to end our pod by asking our guests, like, what shows you're watching. Are you reading anything right now? Just anything off the top of your head. What content are you consuming?
What am I watching? I'm watching The Righteous Gemstones at the moment. I'm on the first season. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm catching up. It's great. Reading. I am reading. I've got it right here. The Echo Chamber. It's kind of a weird. I just found it in an op shop, but it's this weird sort of book about cancellation in the 21st century and kind of how celebrities deal with it and kind of their relation to kind of their opinions and them being out loud. So it's great. And movies. Watched Lady Bird the other night. It was good. Yeah.
Nice.
So bland. Yeah. What are you guys watching and reading?
I just watched Saltburn.
Oh, right. Did you like it?
I did. It left. All right. I don't know if I would say it left an impression, which I think is a good movie. Like I don't know if it made me feel uneasy.
It hit too hard to home.
Well, no. I didn't know how to feel about every character throughout the story, which was unsettling to me. Which I think that was it was supposed to do that.
Intention.
Yeah.
I just finished Fired on Mars. That was a Mick recommendation. I thought that was fantastic. Have you seen that, Charlie?
No, I've seen posters of it. I do need to watch that.
You should check that out.
Great.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Okay.
It's a good one.
Sweet.
I'm reading some super nerd books right now. Some like high fantasy stuff, dude. I won't bore you with it.
No, just give us a book.
It's called Gardens of the Moon, and it's book 1 of the Malazan Book of the Fallen.
That is super nerd shit.
Wow, nerd.
Goodness.
It's deep. It's like 700 pages, dude, and I'm like halfway done. I started it.
Oh my god! How many people
3 days ago
turned the podcast off just then? I'm curious to see those numbers. I'm totally kidding.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Charlie, thanks again for coming on. We will link all of your stuff in the description below. Go check out Bloke of the Apocalypse. It's great. Again, like, follow, and subscribe so we can make more of these for you guys. Check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/WeAreTheTelevision. Go buy a mug. We need mug monies. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
We are the television.